Sometimes life rips everything away from you. Your dreams collapse. Your trust shatters. Your soul feels like a cracked mirror, reflecting nothing but loss. People walk away. Doors slam shut. And in the middle of that storm, when you should have broken, when you should have disappeared, you laughed. Not because it didn't hurt, but because you realized something they never did. The world can take what's in your hands, but it can never touch what's inside your mind. There's a power in you they will never understand. And maybe you're about to understand it too. Watch this video till the end to discover why your laughter is your greatest weapon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join this journey with me, Asterisk. There comes a moment where life pushes you so far against the wall. You can't even remember what it feels like to stand freely. You lose things. You lose people. Of yourself, you were never ready to let go of. And there's this pressure, this crushing weight, telling you to stay down, to crawl, to accept that this is where you belong now, buried under the rubble of everything that collapsed. You start to believe it. You think maybe this is your corner. Pain tightens around your throat. Fear sits on your chest. And somewhere deep inside, something asks you to surrender. But then, something else rises. Not a rescue, not a miracle, just a laugh. A quiet, broken laugh that slips out of you like a spark in the dark. And in that moment, everything stops, because that laugh fit wasn't supposed to exist. You weren't supposed to find something inside yourself that couldn't be crushed, but you did. And that laugh becomes a rebellion, a small fire that tells pain, you can take what I held. You can strip me bare. You can tear my world apart. But you don't own me. That laugh, it cuts through the chains. It terrifies the very things that tried to break you. Not because you're not hurting, not because you've won, but because you laughed anyway. Because even while bleeding, you found something they couldn't reach. That laugh is not about the absence of pain. It's the proof that there is a part of you buried deep that is untouchable. A place they can't ruin. A place they can't bend. And when you find that place, you don't go back to chains. You walk forward. Scarred, yes, but free. Asterisk, there's a moment in life when you stop breathing to live, and you start breathing just to survive. You wake up, but you don't really rise. You move, but you don't really go anywhere. You eat, you speak, you show up, but inside, you've gone missing. Because after you've lost everything, a part of you quietly decides it's safer to stop trying. You start building walls, not homes. You start collecting hours, not memories. You start surviving, not living. And maybe that's where you are right now, trapped in the space between who you were and who you're afraid to become. You don't call it fear. You call it being careful. You call it being realistic. But deep down, you know, you locked yourself in a room where nothing can touch you, a room where nothing can hurt you, but also nothing can reach you. You survived the storm, but now you're standing in silence, waiting for life to make the first move. It won't. Life doesn't come knocking on doors you've shut yourself. You have to open them with trembling hands, with an aching heart, with no guarantees. That's where it begins again. Not in the comfort of safety, but in the terrifying space where you let life touch you again. You will break. You will lose things again. You will taste disappointment again, but you will also taste something else, something you forgot, the sharp, vivid taste of being alive. The way laughter feels when it's real, the way mornings smell when you're actually present, the way you start to rebuild, not to replace what was lost, but to create something that could only exist because you had the courage to begin again. Survival is not the prize. Survival is the waiting room. Living is when you finally step out, and you will know the difference. You will feel it when the air hits your skin and your chest opens wider, even if it hurts. You will know you've crossed the line when you stop fearing the next loss, because suddenly, life is no longer something you're holding onto tightly. It's something you're willing to experience fully. That's where you start living, but not when you've healed everything, but when you finally let life touch you while you're still shaking. Asterisk, there's a moment when life drops you so low, you don't even recognize yourself in the mirror anymore. The titles, the plans, the people, gone. The noise that used to fill your head, it's silent now, and all you're left with is you. Rock bottom doesn't come with warnings. It doesn't ask permission to take everything you thought you couldn't live without. It just arrives, ripping through the walls you built, tearing down the image you worked so hard to protect. And at first, it feels like punishment. It feels like you've been abandoned by life itself. But stay there. Don't rush to escape, because something happens when you're no longer propped up by what used to define you. You start seeing yourself, the unedited, unfiltered version, maybe for the first time. The truth is, you were carrying so many illusions. You were chasing dreams that were never yours. You were clinging to people who were only renting space in your life. You were smiling through things that were quietly destroying you. And now it's just you. There's no one left to perform for. No mask left to hold up. And that's where you meet the real version of yourself. Not the one shaped by expectation. Not the one crafted to impress. But the one who breathes in silence and stands without applause, that's the sacred ground. It's brutal, it's lonely, but it's honest. And sometimes, honesty is the only thing that can rebuild you. Rock bottom isn't the end. It's the floor where you stop falling. It's the place where you finally have to decide. Will you stay broken, or will you rise? Not as who you were, but as who you really are. Asterisk, there are parts of you don't like to look at, marks you try to hide, stories you don't speak about because they remind you of what it cost you to survive. You run your fingers over those scars, quietly wishing they weren't there, wishing the story could have gone another way, wishing you hadn't fallen that hard. But here's the thing, you didn't fall and stay there. You kept moving. You didn't vanish when life cut you open. You stayed in the fight, bleeding, broken, but still breathing. You keep thinking scars are proof of failure. They're not. They're proof that you passed through something most people would never recover from. They're not the end of your story. They're the evidence you survived it. And maybe you don't see it yet, but those scars, they've opened doors you couldn't have found without breaking. Pain forced you to explore parts of yourself you would have never touched if everything stayed perfect. Scars are not dead ends. They're secret maps. They take you to the places only the broken ever find, the places where the real rebuilding happens. But most people turn back before they get there. They can't stand the sight of their own damage. But you've already walked through the fire. You've already collected the burns. You've already survived nights that should have ended you. And now you're standing at the edge of something new. Your scars didn't come to close your story. They came to show you the roads no one else dares to walk, and you're just getting started. Asterisk, there's a rebellion most people never see. It doesn't make noise. It doesn't demand attention. It happens in the quiet places, the places where you wake up every morning and keep going, even when you don't feel like you're moving at all. The world teaches you to measure strength by loud victories, by dramatic comebacks, by battles that end in applause. But some battles don't get an audience. Some victories don't come with celebration. Some days, the greatest rebellion is that you showed up at all. You've rebuilt yourself in rooms where no one clapped for you. You've stitched your life back together with hands that were still shaking. And you never made a scene. You just continued. That's the rebellion they don't talk about. You think you're losing because you're not running at full speed. You think you're falling behind because your wins are quiet, but you don't. Realize the most dangerous kind of strength is the one that doesn't need to be seen. It's easy to look powerful when the world is watching. It's easy to fight when you know someone's there to catch you. But when you fight in silence, when you choose to stand, even when you feel completely alone, that's when you become untouchable. You've been through storms that stripped you bare, and still, you got up. Not because you had it figured out, not because you weren't tired, but because somewhere inside you, something refused to break. You don't need to prove your worth with noise. You don't need to scream to show you're strong. Your quiet rebellion is enough. It's in the mornings you didn't quit. It's in the routines you held on to when everything else fell apart. It's in the way you carried the weight and still moved forward, even if no one saw how heavy it really was. The world will keep missing it. Fast ones, the ones who shout their wins from rooftops, but they'll never see you coming, because you've built your strength where it can't be stolen. You've built it in the quiet, in the struggle, in the places where only you knew what it cost you to keep going. And that is where your power lies, not in being seen, but in knowing you didn't need to be. Not in waiting for the world to notice, but in deciding you would keep moving whether they did or not. You've been chasing something for a long time, running toward an image someone else handed to you. The car, the house, the status, the approval. The perfect life that looks good on the outside but feels hollow when you finally touch it. And maybe you've started to wonder, is this really it? Is this what it's all about? Because you worked, you climbed, you lost sleep, you sacrificed, and somehow it still doesn't feel like enough. You keep reaching for more numbers, more recognition, more evidence that you've made it. But the more you chase it, the more it slips away. Because the version of success you've been trying to build was never really yours. It was designed to control you, not fulfill you. You've been measured by things you can lose. Your worth tied to what you can show. Your value chained to what other people can see. But success isn't built on what's visible. It's built on what you carry when no one's watching. It's the peace you feel when you're not performing. It's the courage to live by your own terms, even when it costs you the image you've worked so hard to maintain. And you've felt that pressure, haven't you? To look like you're winning, even when you feel like you're breaking inside. To post, to smile, to pretend that slowing down means you're losing, that walking away means you're weak. But here's what no one tells you. Sometimes walking away is the strongest thing you'll ever do. Sometimes losing what they think matters is the only way to find what actually does. You don't have to carry their definition of success anymore. You don't have to live your life trying to earn a seat at their table. Because the truth is, The table was never built for you. You can build your own. You can build a life that doesn't need to be explained, justified, or approved. A life that feels real when you sit with yourself in the quiet. A life where you no longer need to convince anyone that you've made it. And maybe you're there right now, on the edge of letting go of what you've been told to chase. Maybe you're tired of pretending, tired of running, tired of trying to fit into a story that was never written for you. You can let it go. You can step out of their race and write your own. Because real success isn't when the world finally sees you. It's when you finally see yourself. And when that happens, when you finally stop chasing and start choosing, that's when you win in a way they will never understand. There's a moment when life pushes you so deep into the dirt that even breathing feels like a battle. You look around at what's left and you realize maybe you don't have anything left to lose. Maybe the things you fought for, the things you begged to keep there, already gone. And in that moment, you face a brutal choice. You can either collapse under the weight of everything that's been taken from you, or you can laugh. Not the loud, easy kind of laugh, but the kind that comes from a place no one else can touch. That laugh, it's not about joy. It's not about pretending you're okay. It's about ownership. Because when you can laugh at the wreckage, when you can laugh while your hands are still shaking, when you can laugh in the exact place where you were supposed to break, that's when you realize the game has changed. Life can take your comfort. It can take your security, your relationships, your plans. It can strip you down to the raw parts of yourself you were never ready to face. But there's something life can't reach. There's a part of you it can't break unless you give it permission. And when you can laugh, even in the middle of the fire, you're telling life, you don't own me. Most people wait for their life to get better before they give themselves permission to feel alive again. But you can take it back right now, without waiting, without conditions, without needing anything to change. You can stand in the ashes of what you lost and still decide, this moment belongs to me. This breath belongs to me. This story, even with all its missing pieces, still belongs to me. Laughter isn't weakness. It's not denial. It's not escaping the pain. It's claiming your place in a life that tried to push you out. Because when you can laugh, even while you're bleeding, you are saying to life, you don't get the final word. You don't get to decide when I'm done. You can take the house, the job, the plans, the future I thought I needed, but you can't take me. And maybe that's what real freedom feels like. Not when everything is perfect. Not when you've won. But when you've lost and you're still here, when you've fallen and you're still standing, when you've been stripped bare and you can still find the strength to laugh, that's the kind of ownership no one can take from you. That's when you finally stop waiting for life to give you permission. Because in that moment, you realize you were the one holding the keys all along. There's a weight you've been carrying for a long time, the weight of needing to be understood. You keep explaining yourself. Your pain is real, that your choices make sense, that the way you move through life is not a mistake. And when people don't get it, it cuts deeper than you expect. Because you're not asking for much, you just want to be seen. You just want someone to understand why you've changed, why you've distanced yourself, why you stopped chasing what used to matter to you. But the more you try to make them understand, the more invisible you start to feel. The more you explain, the more they seem to step back, watching you like you've become something strange, something they can't categorize anymore. And maybe you've started to question yourself because of that. Maybe you've looked at your own reflection and wondered if you're the one getting it wrong, if you've become the problem. Because it's lonely here, isn't it? It's lonely to walk a path when no one is walking beside you. But here's the thing, you don't need their understanding to be free. You don't need their approval to move forward. You don't need their permission to become someone they don't recognize anymore. You've been wasting precious time trying to translate your soul into a language they can accept. But not everyone will understand your silence. Not everyone will understand your distance, your peace, your refusal to explain yourself anymore. And you know what? That's okay. You don't exist to make sense to everyone. You exist to become fully yourself even if they never figure you out. You can stop fighting to be understood. You can stop shrinking yourself to fit into a story you've outgrown. You can walk forward knowing that freedom isn't when they accept you. It's when you accept that they might never will. And when you really let go of that need, when you really stop waiting for them to get it, that's when everything changes. That's when your steps become lighter. That's when you stop holding your breath in rooms that were never built for you. It's not about proving yourself. It's not about convincing them you're right. It's about realizing that your life, your healing, your decisions, they still matter even if they never clap for you. You've been standing at a locked door, knocking, hoping they'd finally open it and tell you that you're enough. But you never needed that door to open. You've been free this whole time. You just didn't know you could walk away. Maybe today, maybe this is the moment you finally do. You didn't ask for it to fall apart. You didn't plan for the walls to crumble, for the floor beneath you to disappear. You held on as tightly as you could. You tried to save what was, slipping through your hands. But sometimes, life doesn't ask you to let go. It just takes, and you're left standing in the wreckage, staring at the silence, wondering how you're supposed to start again when every piece of you feels missing. The life you've built, the people you trusted, the version of yourself you thought would last forever, it's gone. And when something that big collapses, it's easy to believe that you collapsed with it. It's easy to think that this is the end. What if this isn't the end? What if this isn't the end? What if this is the place where your second life begins? You see, there's something that happens when you lose everything. You stop pretending. You stop performing. You stop carrying things that were never really yours. When life strips you bare, you come face to face with who you really are, without all the layers, without the roles, without the weight of who you were supposed to be. You start to realize that maybe you didn't just lose everything. Maybe you lost what was trapping you. Maybe you lost what was holding you back. Maybe you lost what was quietly draining you, piece by piece, while you called it comfort. And maybe you don't need to rebuild what you had. Maybe you don't need to put the same walls back up, wear the same labels, or chase the same things that failed to hold you the first time. Maybe your second life is not about going back. Maybe it's about stepping into something you never allowed yourself to want. Because this time, you don't have to protect the story they expected you to live. This time, you can build without pretending. You can rise without apology. You can begin again, not as the person who's trying to recover what was lost, but as the person who finally has the space to become what you were always meant to be. It's terrifying, isn't it? To face the empty space, to start over without knowing what will come next. But the thing about rock bottom is, it's solid. It's a place you can stand. Not out of desperation, not out of fear, but out of freedom. You thought you lost everything, but maybe, just maybe, you finally found yourself, and that changes everything.